Tim. Welcome to Watch One, and thanks for logging on. Well, Mike Michaels has the evening off. It is Wildcard Wednesday, and for that reason, I am joined by my pal Federico.
How you doing, guys? How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing great. We've got an interesting show tonight because we've got a little of everything. If you don't want the long form, Watch You Want Watch reviews. It's my new YouTube channel where you can see my old style on the wrist reviews and nothing more.
And actually, this week or yesterday, there's a great comparison of the Calatrava and a Vacheron Patrimony Traditionnel. You gotta watch that, guys.
Versus, guys. It's an awesome shootout, a lot of fun. I put some heart and soul and a little bit of humor into that. I think you'll like it. Tonight, we've got the spirit of the 1970s. Back in the 70s in the US, we used to have these things called variety shows, which is where idea-bankrupt writers would send the worst story concepts to die while other series were off for the summer.
That sounds like fun.
But we can improve on it because we've got a little bit of Seinfeld, too, infused. Instead of our usual this or that, we're doing this, that, or the other tonight.
All right, well, Tim, 3 watches, this, that, or the other. What do you got for me?
Okay, I've got the Holy Trinity, the biggest of the big 3 in Switzerland. No, not Breitling, Rolex, and Omega. I think you know where this is going.
We're going upscale.
We are all the way to the top. I've got 3 non-round watches from Vacheron Constantin, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet. Let's roll. Okay, Fed, I already know you've got a dog in this fight, and a dog that's very much out of the fight, but I'm going to launch my personal favorite as the first proposal. Vacheron Constantin, Prestige 1972.
Yeah.
Okay. White gold, yellow gold movement, $38,500 US. It's a big watch, 47 lug to lug, big old quadrilateral, 25 millimeters side to side, not inclusive of the crown, just under 9 millimeters thick.
That's very thin.
18 karat yellow gold, JLC based, caliber 1003 with Geneva hallmark finish. But you can't see it. I will say that you can't see it.
But you can't see it. It's still true. It's historically accurate.
Exactly. It's like butter that's baked into a cake. It's the richness you know is there, even if you can't see it. Okay. Comment on this as a standalone if you must, because I know you want to.
All right. Here's the thing, Tim. I've seen this watch in real life. Most people haven't. It's exquisitely made. It's beautiful. It's historically accurate. It's got 1,000 things going for it. To me, it's hideous. I mean, I love that they made it. I love that it exists. But no thank you personally.
Okay. Now, I will say that having also experienced it firsthand and done a little review of it on my Govberg channel, I love it. First of all, it's got a JLC-based caliber in it that's in 18 karat gold with the Geneva hallmark. I would take the case back off and void the warranty just to take a look at that. I love this watch. It's exactly my kind of wacky. It's in the spirit of those Vacheron watches that are just so far beyond the pale. Things like, I was saying in a previous episode, the Medicus, the Saltarello, the Mercator, the Sputnik. It's in that tradition, and there's a wackiness to VC. It expresses itself every once in a while, and this is an example.
And this is not a unit watch. This is not a watch that's supposed to make VC money. This is a watch that pays homage to its historical roots. So on that note, I excuse the hideousness.
Okay, fair enough. But let's face it, this is not going to be the winner. So, third on our podium of 3, the Vacheron. Okay, Fed, now we get to the seriously heavy metal. Patek Philippe Gondolo, 5124G. We're going to go with the Dash 011 Blue Dial Sunburst that came out in 2015. Okay?
Beautiful. Personally, I mean, I love the blue dial. I think the Gondolo has finally become wearable again.
Okay.
It's large. It's modern. Once again, I love the blue. It's a Patek Philippe Gondolo, which once again is never gonna be the unit seller for the brand, but at least it might turn some heads nowadays. I'm a fan of this watch personally. What do you think?
Oh, I like it, but then again, I'm kind of in love with the Vacheron already. So, I'm still sticking with the Vacheron, but we do have one more contender. Look, I love the look of the 1972, so I'm probably not moving from that position. But I will say that of the 3, the next one, from Audemars Piguet, is probably the most roundly successful. The Millenary 4101. Came out in 2011. This was the Millenary coming of age, a version people actually wanted and waited for.
Yes.
A watch that essentially had no home in the catalog since 1995 finally reached its definitive form. And at $40,000 for the red gold version, I feel like this is the Federico watch of the lot.
And you nailed it. I love this watch. It's the funky Millenary oval shape, but once again, it's a large size. The dial is intricate. You can never get bored looking at that open heart. Yeah, $40,000 in gold, but once again, this is probably the easiest to find out of the three pre-owned. And you're not, let's be honest, you're probably not going to be paying $40,000 pre-owned.
It's also the only automatic watch in this group.
Of course. It is automatic, and actually it also offers a steel version. So if you're really cutting down on budgets, we're talking 12, 13, maybe 14. I'm not exactly sure, but around there.
Yeah, around 14, 15, you can definitely get the steel version. And again, came out in 2011. It's actually been around for quite a while now, so you can find one pre-owned or you can buy new depending on your personal preference.
But this is the winner for me.
Yeah. The Vacheron is the one you'll probably never see unless you special order it. The Audemars, you probably have the best selection. The Patek is probably your safest bet for resale value, but we buy them to own them, not to sell them.
No, exactly. And you know what? Just because I don't love the Vacheron doesn't mean I don't appreciate it. I can see exactly why you like it. Just not for me, man.
Let's do a wrist check now. I know we have some guys asking. I'm watching the live chat box, guys. It's awfully tough for me to type away and participate in the program, but I'm going to do my best. This guy normally runs the live chat box.
But I'm here live with you today. We have to give Mike Michaels the evening off, so, you know.
That's right. No, now, Jesse is running the switcher tonight. I want to give him a shout-out. He's doing a great job. Fed, what have you got for me tonight?
Today, I'm going to give it to you.
I'll be your hand model, yeah?
I've got the Speedmaster Professional with the Hesalite, and this is the Speedmaster Missions Apollo 14 Limited Edition. So you can't really buy this unless you bought the set, but it's my Speedy. I love it.
Yeah, a classic, and I think it's always nice to have one limited edition Speedy in a collection because it's the watch everyone has. If you've got a special edition, sure, there's no shortage of them, but you probably have a watch that everyone doesn't have.
You're right, and actually, this is one of the truly limited ones because you had to buy the whole set.
You want to see a watch that no one has? Okay, right here.
Oh my God.
500 pieces. IWC Da Vinci Rattrapant Perpetual Calendar. This is the 3754-07. That's about as good as it gets. Blue lacquer dial, split-second chronograph, perpetual calendar, aventurine or goldstone moon phase. It's not the watch I'm wearing tonight, but believe me,
and actually,
it's on my mind.
This might be a little Marmite to some people, but I tried it on earlier, and it is gorgeous on the wrist. That IWC is killer.
The blue dial and the platinum, guys, it sizzles. This is what I'm wearing tonight. I'm wearing my Duomet.
It's really hard to beat, isn't it, Tim? I mean, you really need to describe this thing. It's killer.
This is well known to regular viewers of the show. White gold, 200 pieces, matte black dial. You can see it's a chronograph, it's a foudroyant, it keeps the time, it's manual wind, and it's got two mainsprings. I like it. I'm a fan.
Autologerie at its finest.
This month we're together 3 years. It's been a very happy relationship. Seriously, I've spent so much money on whiskey, watches, and women and derived no lasting satisfaction from the whiskey and the women. But I will say the watches have been good to me.
And the watches won't argue with you either.
I'll add another heartbreaking W. Wheels. I can't tell you how many times I've had my dream car and sold it, guys. Stick with the watches. They never fail to satisfy and they'll outlast all the rest.
That is true, but the thing is, since it's so easy to store the watches, there's no, you can only, your excuse if you don't want more than 2 cars is I don't have space for it. You always have space for watches.
It's not the watches that take over your house. It's the watch boxes, guys. Are you feeling me on this? It's the boxes, it's the accessories, it's the shipping box, and every year we decide that some other article from the accessory set, the case back sticker, a hang tag, a box that's on the outside of a box that's on the outside of a box has to be included. You know what I mean? Some of you out there have whole closets full of watch boxes. I feel your pain. I feel that crowded, opposite of a void in your life. Those boxes ready to turn into a singularity, critical mass, sucking in your entire life. So tonight, Neuro is commenting, I own over 50 watches. For me, it's the watches. I can't imagine what his collection of watch boxes is like.
Nero, send us a picture.
It's going to be like that warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh,
You know, when they're pushing the box with the
all the
Ark of the Covenant. It's in like this huge government warehouse. That's
Oh,
got to be
man.
his house. All right. So tonight we're going to play another little thought game right here, a thought experiment. Smartwatches, friend or foe? So first, let me be clear about what we're not discussing. We're not confusing smartwatches with the HYT H4 Metropolis, the Jaeger-LeCoultre Amvox transponder, or something like the Urwerk EMC series. All of these watches featuring some sort of integrated circuitry that operates within the watch case but in non-interfering parallel with the mechanical movement. These are totally separate components that are not part of the watch movement. What we're talking about are watches like the original smartwatch, the Casio Databank, which, yes, was a calculator, but also had a memory function from 1984. We're talking about the Timex Data Link by Microsoft that debuted in 1994, 10 years later.
Love it.
We're talking about watches like the Pebble. Didn't last very long, guys. The perils of Kickstarter. Invest at your own risk. And then the Apple Watch, announced in 2014, launched in 2015, and arguably the
King?
sector hegemon.
Yeah, I mean, friend or foe, this is tough, right? I ultimately, in the beginning, I thought it would have no effect on the watch segment and the luxury watch segment. It might hurt brands like G-Shock, maybe the Hamiltons, up to Tag Heuer.
Yeah,
You know?
which is an interesting example.
Exactly.
We'll get to that in a moment.
We'll get to that in a moment. But the more I've been researching the topic and people have been talking to me, a lot of people have actually been telling me, hey, Federico, my first watch was a smartwatch. Like, I used to have the Pebble, and guess what? Now I'm rocking an Omega. So I'm actually starting to learn that it might be a friend, because it seems to be an entry into a wrist accessory, which can turn into a luxury wristwatch.
Yeah, I don't think because of the price point and the mission. Here's the thing. Quartz watches replaced cheap throwaway, or let's at least say utilitarian mechanical watches. Like quartz watches replaced the mechanical watch as a necessary timekeeper. After that, mechanical watches were going to survive and thrive because they were luxury articles. Now, quartz watches, I can see being replaced by a combination of tablets and phones and smartwatches. So yeah, if you're like G-Shock, if you're, I would say Fossil Group probably has the most to fear there.
Fossil Group
Nixon,
and Movado Group as well.
Movado.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those are, they have to worry. I would even say Swatch, most of their watches are priced below the smartwatch price.
Plus, Swatch is an icon in its own
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's a Swatch is a Swatch. That's why people buy it. System
Exactly.
Frogs.
For $150, you can't have more fun with a watch. I'm going to put it there next to my Platinum Rattrapant. But here's the thing. Like you said, I think they're better regarded as a gateway. First of all, a lot of people are just going to buy them because they want to see their heartbeat or their heart rate or their steps measured on their wrist.
Sure.
I don't think that person displaces his Submariner permanently for that purpose. Second, I do think eventually you'll just have like a smart strap on the watch. So, okay, here's my mechanical watch. On the bottom of the strap, there's like a little limpet clipped on, and that's my smartwatch. Oh, look, Jim called me.
Those exist, and actually, I mean, mechanical watches from the $500 Hamilton to the $3 million diamond-encrusted Hublot.
We're not recommending that necessarily.
No, not necessarily, but those are not necessities. They're luxuries. You wear a mechanical watch because you want to wear a mechanical watch.
Yes.
So, and no part of that gets taken away by buying an Apple Watch,
And
right?
look, Apple tested the theory. They had a solid gold full bracelet Apple Watch. The Apple Watch edition. You get your own special concierge line. How did it work? It didn't. So, look, as a luxury product, you got nothing to worry about from smartwatches. On the other hand, if you're in that $200 to $1,000 crosshairs,
You're hurting.
Yeah, exactly. I would say realistically, interesting things down the road. It's been advertised, don't know when it's coming out, but the Tissot Smart Touch, which is going to be Swatch Group's. I mean, there are some Tissot and Swatch like digital
Smart-ish.
products.
Yeah.
But I mean something that truly interfaces with other digital devices. The Internet of Things watch from Swatch is going to be the Tissot Smart Touch. Maybe later this year.
I'd be very curious to see it because I actually like the T-Touch. I think it's a cool watch.
Yeah, I like it too. I like the T-Touch Solar 2 that came out this year. I made that one of my favorite picks from Baselworld when we did that episode.
I remember that, yeah.
That was a cool watch, but not a smartwatch. Okay, so interesting, the Tag Heuer Connected, which in its second generation is now modular, so you can mix and match parts, sort of the way Vacheron Constantin did the K to Lille back in the day, but also so you can replace the module as time goes by and the software and the hardware associated with the digital part evolve. Now, that's like a $1,500 watch, circa 2016-17. Here's the interesting thing. Now, you mentioned that these watches might be a gateway, right?
Yeah, yes I did.
When I interviewed Stephen Forsey for IW Magazine last year in the fall, I asked him, other than his own brand, who was doing things that really stood out and caught his attention in the watch industry? And first of all, he said Tudor had done a great job rebuilding a brand that had been really stalled, and they did a great job.
For a long time.
They did a great job reviving their heritage in a modern package. So he was impressed by that, and he specifically mentioned Jean-Claude Biver and the Tag Heuer venture with the Connected, not for the Connected's own sake, but because there was a trade for a mechanical watch ready for that Connected customer at the end of the 2-year warranty. There was an exclusive trade for a Tag Heuer mechanical watch, caliber 5, I believe, designed just for the Connected owner at a highly discounted rate to act as a gateway into mechanical watchmaking. And that stood out to him.
I don't love the Connected. I think it's extremely expensive. I love the trade-in option.
Yes.
I think that's very, very innovative, very cool, and intelligent overall. But it's still a hard concept to sell. I wonder how many people that know about the Connected and are looking into the Connected actually know that there's a trade-in option. I'd be willing to say it's about 50-50.
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I'll admit a lot of the folks who bought the Connected bought it because they saw it as an alternative to an Apple Watch with a more prestigious horological name.
Yeah.
And a lot of the folks who are most excited about the Caliber 5 trade-in watch are folks on traditional watch fora who would never touch the smartwatch but are interested in what kind of mechanical watch follows on. So the folks maybe who should be focused on this mechanical watch aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
And the folks who already, are true believers and members of the Brotherhood or the Sisterhood, they aren't necessarily going to buy the Connected watch to bridge to the mechanical one. They're already in the club.
Exactly, and actually I'm willing to bet that module, the Caliber 5 module, might even become, and guys, I may be very wrong here, may even become collectible, because I think very few people are actually going to trade it in.
It's interesting to ask what that trade-in watch might be worth someday, because there may be so few of them in circulation, like the Hublot Service Loaner watch.
Yeah, the Quartz Service Loaner that they stopped doing because no one ever gave it back.
Because people stole it, yeah.
And I mean, it was the cheapest Hublot. It was made the cheapest way possible.
Yeah,
while still
consider
having...
what that means for a moment. It was the cheapest possible Hublot.
You're a bad man, Tim.
No, I like Hublot. I got a Big Bang Unico right here, all black, that represents actual watchmaking cred. Not necessarily a style to everyone's taste, but it's a love-hate watch. But on the other hand, a Quartz Loaner watch, the point is that it was designed to be cheap and replaceable, and yet it became like a highly sought collector's piece.
They were going for they were valued. They were going for well over $5,000 at one point.
Considering that it cost maybe 1% of that to make.
And the best part of the whole watch was the dial said, "Not for resale."
Yes.
Right on
it's
the
like
dial.
contraband. It's like you've got the tag that you're not supposed to rip off. You've got the towels from the Ramada.
Yeah, the Ramada.
You're such a bandit. We got some questions coming in from the field. Jesse, hold the graphics for a moment. I want to answer a couple of these we've got coming in.
Sure.
Fed, question from our loyal viewers. Okay, what are our thoughts? This is from Dennis M. Tim Fed, J.C. Biver has talked extensively about the need to jump on the smartwatch bandwagon. Is he wrong? This is along the lines of the theme we've got going here. Is he wrong?
Personally,
From a luxury perspective.
I hate to say JCB is ever wrong because he's a hero of mine, and I've actually met him once and I couldn't even speak. I was so nervous.
So you met your hero and he's still your hero.
He's still my hero. He's a great guy, but is he wrong? In my humble opinion right now, yes. From the luxury perspective, the smartwatch is just not luxury. It's trying to be pushed as luxury right now. That's going to fizzle out, in my opinion. Are smartwatches here to stay? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just not in the luxury sector.
They're going to replace quartz watches, there's no doubt. That I firmly believe. Luxury watches, I think they'll coexist in the future. Question from Matthew K. After reconsidering on my graduation watch and taking your recommendation into account, I'm split between an Explorer, Sapphire Sandwich Speedmaster, or a Rolex 116-200 Datejust. What should I go with?
Oh,
questions are need, and I believe this is a matter of need and taste. He's got to ask those questions.
They're all great watches. I mean, when people ask me this, it's really hard for me to make a recommendation because they're all excellent. You got to try each one on, and whatever gives you that extra warmth, you know, that feeling, you know that's the watch for you.
Yeah, like this watch gives me a huge buzz because of the style and the concept and the execution. And this watch, which is made of platinum and has a perpetual calendar and a split second, also gives me a buzz because of the design and the concept and the execution. It's that feeling and not some objective evaluation of superiority that you're looking for once you've narrowed down the choice to 3 watches that you like. I will say this. If you're looking at an Explorer, you're interested in simplicity, elegance, and history. If you're interested in the Speedmaster, Sapphire Sandwich or not, you're prioritizing the look and the functionality of a chronograph. Yes, it has formidable history in its own right. And unlike the Explorer and the Datejust, it's also got a display case back in the Sapphire Sandwich version. So you're going to have, this is the watch nerd watch. It's the moon watch, it's a chronograph, it's a complication, you can see the movement. If those all ring your bell, go with that one. Just be aware, the Explorer and the Datejust are both going to be the watches that I would say swim with without any reservation. Finally, the guy who takes the Datejust is looking for a watch that is practical because of the date, is perhaps not the purest and cleanest design of the 3. The date will create an imbalance. The magnifier will create an imbalance. So you have to be willing to forsake a little bit of aesthetic purity to buy into the history and the look of the Datejust. If that rings your bell and you want to wear what Churchill rocked back in the day, go with the Datejust.
Yeah, and actually the Datejust, in my humble opinion, is the most versatile watch there. But you need to try them on. I mean, it's very hard for us to make a recommendation because it's all about what makes you just feel that extra special.
Also, Sapphire Sandwich on a strap or a bracelet, it matters. The Rolex, I wouldn't wear them any other way but on a bracelet, although Rubber B gives you compelling options.
I wouldn't do it, though.
Okay, so Fed, we got some more questions rolling in tonight. Okay, an interesting... Wow, guys, this chat box is moving fast, dude.
Quick tonight,
I'm so sorry. It's hard for me to keep up with the questions as they come in. Okay.
I've got one from Lorenzo V.
Yeah.
Tim and Federico, buying suggestion, and to me this is a no-brainer. Cartier Drive extra flat in white gold, or the limited edition, the white gold Cartier Drive, the limited edition Aquanaut, or the Royal Oak extra thin. So Royal Oak extra thin, the limited edition Aquanaut that just came out at Baselworld, or the Cartier Drive extra flat.
Well, look, I thought that at SIHH, the Cartier Drive extra flat with the Piaget 430 movement, nice slim manual wind, was the drive model coming into its own. That was a great example of Piaget and Cartier sharing what the two do best. Design and style from Cartier, watchmaking from Piaget, a very compelling package. But as soon as you're talking about a Royal Oak ultra thin
and an Aquanaut limited edition,
yeah, honestly, if you can deal for those watches, rest assured the Piaget will be around when you come back. There's a wait list for the 15202 at Audemars Piguet for a very good reason. And between the JLC-based movement, which I intrinsically love irrationally, and the slim profile of the Royal Oak, if that's a blue dial, that sinks the shot for me.
That and actually the Aquanaut, I mean, if you can even get that limited edition, I mean, aren't those pre-sold? I mean, I'm not even sure.
You know what? I feel that's like the kind of watch where if you're not on the wait list, there's a wait list no matter who you are, and if you're not on the wait list, you're out of luck.
Yeah, whereas you can walk into Cartier on Fifth Avenue or Place Vendôme or Orange County, and they'll have a Drive extra flat.
Now, that does not by itself mean you should go for that watch.
No, of
because
course not.
we buy them to wear them, not to sell them. If you want to flip something and then get blacklisted by Terry Stern, yeah, go ahead, buy the limited edition Patek, sell it, and buy the AP. But I recommend buying the watch that you truly love. Leave the Patek for someone who's in love with that watch. The AP is the choice I would make. I think after that, I would say go for the Patek if you must have it. If it's like the brain worm that you can't get out of your head, go for it. Otherwise, consider between the Audemars Piguet and the Piaget-powered Cartier, both great watches.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the automatic winding jumbo. It's the ultimate in tradition and style.
And that blue dial certainly doesn't help.
No, not at all. Okay, that makes it easy for me. I don't even have to choose at that point. Blue dials, rest assured, even scarcer. Okay, so here's a question. A question from Clyde A. I don't know why he asks, but Tim, he says, Tim, you don't drive while buzzed, do you? No, I don't.
No.
I don't know what prompted that, but the fact that there's any question, I need to clarify. No, I don't.
Plus, Florida State Troopers, they're not as nice as New York State Troopers. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay, so question coming in from a Giants fan. White ceramic Daytona, I guess he means white gold ceramic Daytona? White ceramic Daytona? Oh, I see. He's saying steel
White dial.
Steel white dial ceramic Daytona. Okay. Gold Reverso Day-Night, Vintage Speedy Caliber 321 and Panerai 512. That's what he has. What dive watch should he get? Planet Ocean or AP Diver? I feel like he's got a great collection of like essential references. He's got to go with the AP Diver. And if he goes with the JLC, I say, honestly, I love the master compressors from the 2000. I would reach back in time and grab myself one of the master compressor Memovoxes, because I can see you like JLC, you like high horology, and you don't have an alarm, but you want a diver.
I'm going to give a slightly different take. Ultimately, I do agree with you.
Okay.
However, the argument for the Planet Ocean, in my opinion, is you don't have... I mean, everything you have is extremely valuable. I mean, I think your lowest end watch is 5 figures in there. So maybe having a $3,000-$4,000 watch you don't have to worry about too much as a beater watch, as a daily watch, might allow you to wear watches in more situations. I mean, it's just something to think about.
I feel like the difference between a recent, caliber 8500 Planet Ocean or 9300 Planet Ocean and a steel master compressor, though, is not going to be that big. There's not going to be a huge price spread there.
No, you're right.
And in steel, the JLC is a sports watch. You can get it in gold, you can get it in platinum, but I would get it in steel if you're looking to round out the collection you have. Otherwise, of the watches you suggest, if you can spring for the AP Diver at like 3 times the price of the Planet Ocean, definitely. That's a no regrets watch. That's a great watch. Okay. So questions still coming in, but we're going to hit some of our talking points. We've got a great show programmed for you. I don't want to ditch all of them. I did want to touch on an interesting watch, and Jesse's got the slide, but the Breitling Exospace B55, which I think, first of all, it's one of the most expensive smartwatches you'll find at about $9,000 US. A little bit less, but that's about the price. Finally, a way to activate the super quartz functions in one of these Breitling multifunction quartz watches without confusing people. Just use the phone or tablet interface hooked up to your watch and set everything, the second time zone, the countdown, the alarm time, GMT, set all of that on your phone where the interface makes sense and you've got a screen bigger than like a postage stamp cut in 2.
And I'll tell you what, man, setting these ultra function quartz watches, like setting a Breitling Aerospace, it's a pain in my butt when I have to do it. I don't enjoy setting those things.
Yeah, I'll do it for you guys. If you buy one from us, I'll set it for you, but I do have how-to videos on YouTube.
Yeah, we do.
So, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. That's a great union of luxury watchmaking and smartwatch technology. I think at this point we're pretty much defining a smartwatch as a watch that interfaces with other devices. Because there are watches that have calculators and memory functions and all sorts of things like compasses and barometers built in. Those aren't smartwatches. The threshold of a smartwatch is that it interfaces with Wi-Fi, networks, other devices. I think, would you agree that's probably the best way to define it at this point?
That's the perfect definition, because those other like barometer watches, there's actually an acronym. Like altimeter, barometer, ABC. Like, I'm not sure exactly.
These are features that have been with us since the 90s. They're not smartwatch features. Breitling, I think you're onto something with the Exospace, though. Okay, so now another question and thought experiment fed. Tonight we're asking, what do luxury watch brands have against motorcycles.
Yeah, this is kind of thought-provoking.
And I'm going to exhaust a couple of breaths here, guys, but let me review some of the co-brandings between car manufacturers and watchmakers. Alfa Romeo with Chronoswiss and Chopard, Porsche design in its own right and with Chopard, Blancpain Lamborghini, Bremont Jaguar, Ball for BMW, Ferrari over the years with Longines, Cartier, Girard Perregaux, Panerai, Cabestan and Hublot, Urus and Audi, Aston Martin and Jaeger-LeCoultre, Maserati with Audemars Piguet and Bulgari, Baume & Mercier with Shelby cars, Zenith with every vintage car imaginable, and lately with recent modern Land Rover, Breitling for Bentley, Richard Mille and McLaren, AMG with IWC and once upon a time Panerai, Tag Heuer, AP, and Omega all joined at the hip at some point to Formula One. And finally, Roger Dubuis, if they can't co-brand with the car, they'll take a piece of the car, now fused with Pirelli. So, Fed, why is it that we've got like 2 confirmed luxury watch co-brandings with motorcycles, and only one of them, Tudor and Ducati, are actually a blend of watchmaker and motorcycle brand?
And I don't know. And even... not only do I not know, but even that partnership, as you said yourself, the Tudor Fast Rider chronograph, that's even like the stepchild of the line.
Yeah, it's not like it's first of all, it's not Rolex. It's the little brother to Rolex, and it's not one of the iconic Tudors. It's the Fast Rider. I mean,
it's not a Black Bay or Pelagos.
Honestly, this is a model that's been promoted, and Jesse's got a great graphic, but with murky images of like a masked man in full bodysuit, motorcycle helmet, and full suit, oddly evocative of the movie poster for The Wraith. Do you guys stay up till 2 a.m.? Do you ever like watch cable at like 2 a.m.? Then you've probably seen The Wraith, starring Charlie Sheen, featuring an all like 80s heavy metal soundtrack. If you haven't, then you're not the kind of guy who's probably also seen Phantasm 4, Every Reanimator, Evil Dead. But let me advise you. Everything about this Tudor and Ducati union has been weird, right down to the advertising. The only true no-holds-barred, pure luxury watch effort that was unreserved was actually an ambassadorship between Valentino Rossi and Jaeger-LeCoultre in the late 2000s. Cool watches, but again, not co-branding with a manufacturer, a dude.
And they weren't mainstays, they were limited editions, weren't they?
Yeah, they weren't mainstays, they were limited editions, and I liked them, but honestly, when you put the numbers 4 and 6 on the dial of a watch, you've already ruled out a huge swath of the East Asian market that doesn't want that.
That's true. Yeah, I never thought of that.
I'm sorry. I loved the way these watches looked, and they were worthwhile complications all. But again, not an actual motorcycle manufacturer. This was a guy, a powerful brand, but a dude all the same.
Yeah, and then we found like a defunct partnership of like Jean Richard.
Remember them?
Yeah, whatever. We don't dead or alive. Let us know.
Jean Richard, reach out. We want you on the show. Tell me, is there a pulse? Guys,
are you still? Because they're not officially closed down.
I loved the Times Square Sebring. Again, there was a car co-branding.
Last time I heard about Jean Richard, Captain Sully was still relevant.
Yeah, honestly, Jean Richard, it's been a while. Please write. Or email. We do text. So here's the thing, Fed. We have a list of motorcycle and watch co-branding agreements that we think would work well based on the identity and image of the bike brand and of the watch brand. And I should mention, it's disturbing that we even have a pro cycling sponsorship where Tag Heuer simply cut out the engine part of the motorcycle. The motorcycle was dispensed, and they sponsored the BMC Pro Cycling Tour de France team. Okay, bringing the motor back into the cycle. Starting off with a big one, Fed, what is it?
MV Agusta, crazy Italian bikes, very high-end. We're going to give it to Richard Mille.
Absolutely. It was once said beautifully by the management in MV Agusta, there can only be one two-wheeled Ferrari, and it is not Ducati. They can be the two-wheeled Maserati, they can be the two-wheeled Lancia Alfa Romeo. There is only one two-wheeled Ferrari.
And it is MV Agusta.
So for that, I would say Richard Mille is a good match. Okay, BMW. This is a stalwart of Northern European bike manufacturer. I'm going to give it to GLASHUTTE Original, possibly the most varied and diverse array of German watches built since the fall of communism. In a lot of ways, BMW is like that. Yes, they build the super sport bike, but they also build cruisers that chug along with 2 cylinders arrayed in horizontal boxer arrangement. They're everything to everyone, including wacky scooters. And to me...
With roofs.
Yes. Remember the C1 guys? To me, that's BMW. A huge array of German two-wheeled options, GLASHUTTE Original. Never a high-volume brand, but so many different references over the years.
The Germans, keeping it local.
Indeed. I think that's a natural match. Now, if you're going to take it British, it's got to be what, Fed?
Triumph and BREMONT. Another licensing agreement for BREMONT, who's already got Jaguar under their umbrella, and it makes sense for Triumph. They've got the same aesthetic.
Yeah, let's see. BREMONT at this point, they've got Jaguar, so we know they like cars. They've got Boeing, because we know they love planes. They've got Martin Baker, because they like pieces of planes that are powered by rockets.
HMS Victory, so they like boats.
HMS Victory, they like boats. And America's Cup, they like fast boats. Guys, there's only like one company left to sponsor. It's Triumph. A perfect match. Both recent incarnations of British watchmaking, in BREMONT's case, and Triumph, sort of a reincarnation in the modern era. Natural match, guys.
The only thing is, I just prefer Triumph a little more than I love BREMONT personally, but it makes sense. That can change. Can change.
So, now here's the thing. If MV AGUSTA is the Ferrari of motorcycles, and Richard Mille is the MV AGUSTA for your wrist, what about the truly spectacular, the incredibly rare, not the supercar, the ultra car, and the ultra bike, something that looks like a science project on wheels or a spaceship landed on 2 patches of rubber?
Like a Pagani, if we're talking cars.
Exactly. BiMoTa.
Oy.
And MB&F. The same spirit, ultra low volume, like the undiluted vision, insane vision of an engineer and a designer married together, born without compromise. That's MB&F, and that's BiMoTa.
Actually, a correction here. Paul Ratherham said BREMONT actually have a limited edition Norton Motorcycles watch.
There you go, BREMONT. There's nothing left to sponsor. Triumph, corner the market.
Paul, thank you so much. I can't believe we missed it. Actually, we should have known with BREMONT.
We tried. Norton Motorcycles. I'm amazed they're still around. Okay, so moving on. So here we go. BREMONT and Triumph, that's a what if. Norton apparently is the fact.
This one makes a lot of sense. YAMAHA. I'm giving YAMAHA and Grand SEIKO the union, and there's a good reason, Fed. Grand SEIKO, Crador, all part of the huge SEIKO Epson corporate conglomerate that builds everything from printers and scanners to ultra haute de gamme handmade luxury watches. Tourbillons.
YAMAHA builds everything from pool equipment to industrial robots to motors for Volvo, Toyota. In the past, they built motors for Ford. They did the original engine in the Toyota 2000 GT in 1967.
Great car.
They also build fantastic racing motorcycles and scooters. So I'm going to give, because of their well-rounded mastery of everything mechanical, just as Grand SEIKO is part of that huge SEIKO orbit, I'm going to give Grand SEIKO to YAMAHA.
Makes perfect sense. And actually, this next one is hilarious, because not only do I not know the motorcycle manufacturer, I don't even know who the watchmaker is. So this one, I'm just going to shut up and let you talk about, because you've stumped me 100%. Never heard of either of these two companies.
AVINTON. If you can imagine the American company Confederate, now imagine a French version of that. You still with me? That's AVINTON. Now, PASCAL COYON. Imagine a 6497 Unitas ETA manual wind caliber taken to the state of the art, to the point of achingly beautiful modification and finish. That's the PASCAL COYON hand wind chronometer. Put the two together and you have a match made in, well, France. But the bottom line is that it's a perfect match. Artisanally beautiful on both sides. Thematically, they're just made for each other, and I can imagine wearing the one while riding the other. So, Fed, you're Italian. The most Italian of motorcycles. Yes, more than Ducati. And I can't imagine a better match for the watch side.
MOTO GUZZI. They make fantastic street bikes. They've kind of got a vintage flair, and I love your pick with the watch company, and that is pre-Vendome. That's very important. So pre-Richemont, PANERAI. Utilitarian, tough, simple,
Little
oversized,
bit rough around the edges.
Little rough around the edges, oversized. A man's motorcycle, a man's watch, and full of Italian design elements. I love it.
Yeah, that's a perfect match, and honestly, it's the pre-Vendome PANERAI. Maybe someday we'll figure out who makes the post-Vendome PANERAI. Fed, here's an interesting one. An American motorcycle, no longer produced, a little bit of a mutant, but then again, it's steeped in the stars and stripes, and a domestic product that aims to do battle, or aimed to do battle with the best from Europe.
BUELL. Harley engines, essentially, and a designer that used to work for Harley.
Yeah, former Harley engineer and an amateur racer, Eric Buell.
But instead of cruisers, we had nakeds and crotch rockets and sports bikes.
Yeah, if you want to build like a sub 95-inch wheelbase, like it just incredibly compact bikes that were like hyper exotic, built around Sportster engines for the most part. He didn't get a proper like water-cooled V10 or V-twin until the very end of the line. So think Harley engine, super sport bike, weird combination of features, but so original and oh so American. BUELL and RGM.
Roland G. Murphy. That makes a lot of sense. We've got a local American watchmaker out of Pennsylvania, I believe.
Yeah.
That is a designer. He does use and heavily modify some out of movements, but I believe RGM is also using vintage movements and an in-house caliber as well.
Yeah, a lot of in-house calibers, at least 3 at RGM, including a Tourbillon. Very cool company. BUELL, we miss you, but the bikes rumble on. RGM, still kicking and
Still
doing
kicking.
better than ever. Okay, Fed, this is a near relative, the big brother of BUELL, and ultimately the axe man holding the blade, Harley Davidson. Match them up.
Harley Davidson. We went with KOBOLD. Very tough, very large, utilitarian.
A little bit of a blunt instrument.
I was going to say rough around the edges, but blunt instrument's a better description. However, the only thing that doesn't match up perfectly is maybe Harley's an icon in the motorcycle field, and KOBOLD not quite. But the spirit of both brands, I think, goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I honestly don't think there's a perfect wristwatch match for Harley Davidson. I mean, it would be great if, you know, if one of the historic American pocket watchmakers like Illinois were still around, or Waltham were still around making pocket watches.
A luxury American.
That would be like Harley Davidson, like a vintage product that lives on into the modern era, an icon undilute, unbowed. But there is nothing like that. So we're giving it to KOBOLD because it is unabashedly an American company, and thematically the watches nicely match the spirit of the bikes.
And the last one, which actually makes a lot of sense as well, Tim, I'll let you have this one. Why don't you go on ahead?
Yeah, it would have been too easy to compare this brand to Grand Seiko. I feel that Yamaha and Grand Seiko are a really great match because they have a huge span of expertise each. But honestly, motorcycle by other means is spelled Honda. And when I think the motorcycle, I think of a Honda. And when most people think of the watch, they think of a Rolex.
Yeah.
The absolute standard, the name that transcends the industry, the one that's recognized everywhere watches are worn and bikes are ridden. It's Honda and Rolex for absolute mastery of their segment and dominance in their field.
They're just the two giants in the room, and they belong together.
Yeah, that's my feeling, and really it doesn't require much more explanation. So, Fed, we've got a chat box going absolutely crazy tonight. Tim and Fed, does, in your opinion, every watch collection need a blue watch?
It doesn't need a blue watch, but my watch collection will always have a blue watch in it.
Yeah, honestly, I've got a couple at this point, so the counter is running. I believe right now blue is the color of the moment. Blue is the color of the moment. Black was the color of yesterday, and I believe the color of tomorrow. phasing in across several brands at several price points is like metallic gray. I think that's on its way in.
By the way, Tim, it seems the chat box does not agree with our Honda Rolex comparison. They're saying Honda's too low end, which I don't understand because the Honda Superbikes are best in class. They might not be the most expensive, but neither is Rolex.
Yeah, I would say Honda has a price spectrum that you really have to take into account. Ask yourself, what would it cost for you to buy a Moto Grand Prix Honda?
Or does Honda still make the R1?
Well, no, Yamaha makes
the R1. Ooh, my mistake, see?
No, Honda makes the CBR 1000
The CBR 1000.
and the middleweight equivalents. But here's the thing. Honda has built some bikes over the years, like the Honda NR. Go ahead and try to find one of those cheap. Go ahead, look up what a Honda NR costs you. The oval piston superbike that they built for the road to legalize, basically a homologation special for a technology designed for Moto Grand Prix. Rest assured, if you want to spend a ton of money on a Honda bike, the opportunity presents itself. I don't feel that Honda is too low end to be the equivalent of Rolex. When you consider that Rolex is never going to touch the price range where the likes of Grubel Force and Richard Mille and Patek application pieces play, I feel that Honda is the standard in the segment. There are some priced higher, some priced lower, and I think the same is true of Rolex. In both cases, you're getting an impeccable, over-engineered product.
And that's also the beauty of doing a live show where we can interact with all our audience and we can hear how horribly wrong we are.
So, okay, comment coming through. A Bund strap is a must for a Harley Davidson. Okay, I get that. 60s aviation style, 60s German aviation style.
I like Bund straps.
Yeah, definitely. So, lots of questions coming in, and it's hard to keep track with all of them. Someone mentioned that Rolex is Mercedes. Possibly, but that's 4 wheels, guys.
That is 4 wheels.
Fed, let me ask you, we keep getting questions about blue dial Cellini models, and I would ask, what do you think of a contemporary 39mm white gold Cellini blue dial? We're talking Cellini in the post-2014 paradigm.
I don't love the modern Cellinis overall, but I think the blue dial is handsome. I think it's priced relatively well. I think white gold and blue dials, go, once again, very well together. But if I had to go Cellini, I'd go with the Danaus personally. But that's just me.
Personally, I would go for one of the 2005 to 2015, I think it was like reference 441, the Prince.
Oh, yeah.
The only display caseback Rolex, guys, and a movement that's actually worth looking at. Shaped and finished. Manual wind and a chronometer. Beautifully executed. And honestly, I think right now that's one of those sleeper hits that is desirable to wear now. A little bit ironic, a little bit too cool for school, with a long-term collector prospect.
Do you think the Rolex, Rolex movements were made on an assembly line? I don't think the Prince movements were.
I believe there was a lot of hand finish. There is some hand assembly still in Rolex, but I believe there was a considerable amount in the Prince.
I think they put like 3 watchmakers in a dark closet. I'm like, you guys do the Prince.
Yeah, and then they shot them when it was all done to destroy the evidence.
Old Yeller style.
I've never seen any photographs of Rolex Princes being made. So guys, if you know, hey, Rolex, right. By the way, little shout out to a fellow YouTuber. I don't know if he ever watches the show, but Matt Farah, I've noticed you wear a Kermit every once in a while.
Matt Farah, great automotive YouTuber. Is it not the fast? He does one thing. The smoking tire. Matt Farah. Yeah.
The smoking tire. Matt, we love your stuff. If you ever want to do a watch car crossover, consider a standing invitation offered. Okay.
He does wear a Kermit every episode.
He does. I know he's a watch guy. You bring the car, I'll bring the watch. I guarantee you I will one up. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. This was an awesome show. Had a lot of fun with this one. Fed, as ever, thanks for joining.
My pleasure. And actually, guys, we'll be back on tomorrow, and you're going to be a guest on my show, I think. We've got something special planned. We'll let you know.
Yeah, that's a fact. Question, what do I think of the Jaeger LeCoultre Grand Reverso 1931 Seconde Centrale in white gold? I love it. Hi, guys. This is Watch You Want. I'm Tim. He's Fed. He's Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. Thanks for logging on.
Take care.